Hello and welcome back to Dungeon Music Theater. Today we're talking about lazy gear. Now, what I mean by lazy gear is, you get that cool plugin or a virtual instrument, maybe a module or a guitar pedal, and over the next few days or weeks, it sort of kind of gets lost, in a drawer or in a closet somewhere, getting dusty and collecting cobwebs. And what I want to do is challenge myself to dig up some of those things and put it through its creative paces and get some exercise, get some creative exercise, and try to create some cool content using that thing that you've bought that you've forgotten about. So I'm challenging myself to this, and perhaps you can join me and challenge yourself to discover that and how we can kind of put those products and things that we bought through some good creative use. Okay, so I've selected a couple pieces of gear that definitely needs a workout. And before I get to that, though, the Bigsky and the Nightsky from Strymon, definitely not lazy. I use them all the time. So it's a bit of a disclaimer, but maybe they're on here to spur on our lazy gear, which is definitely the Moog Minitaur and the Micro Freak, the Arteria Micro Freak. Now, I have it here. I thought I was going to use it. I don't even touch it during this video, which says a lot. But the Minitaur, for sure, I remember when I first saw it, I had to have it. Didn't own any hardware synth at the time. And if I had to own a Moog, this was it. But what ended up happening was I got sort of late into the game, and when the Mother 32 came out. So when the Mother 32 came out, the Moog Minitaur just kind of got left by the wayside. And so this video I got to rediscover how cool the Minitaur is. So yeah, let's hear it. Yeah, so right out of the gate, this is, by the way, a single oscillator. I'll bring in the second oscillator later on. But just how fat that sounds, it's so great. I was kind of playing around with the high-pass filter. Just single oscillator. I like Moog sounds that are like sort of straight. I don't like the wowie kind of thing because it sounds a little goofy to me. And again, for me, I've always thought that it was great to use it as a doubling kind of a thing, like a doubling a real bass or some other bass. So that's kind of like how I use it again. Okay, so I'm kind of playing around with the resonant filter, and there's a bit of a glide to it so that you don't hear it all the time. I don't like the LFO-y kind of thing too much. Again, just so musical. And one other disclaimer. Let me pause this for a second. Just one other disclaimer is that this is the Minitaur being directly patched in, but when I first heard it again, and I haven't heard it in a while, I felt that there's something that was a little bit lacking. So I'm having it put through the Neve direct input, which is something that I put every line input through just because it kind of gives it a nice bite, and the transient seems to be more just more, I don't know, impacty, which I love on synths. But the other thing that I'm doing is going through two plugins. I felt like the Minitaur needed a bit of saturation, so it's going through this bass amp saturation plugin, and funny enough, that's a plugin that I use quite a bit on bass. So that's a disclaimer. So there's a bit of saturation there. But the other thing that I found was the Shadow Hills compressor, like another lazy gear, like that piece of plugin that I used. Haven't really used the whole lot of it. And so here I get to use it. I have it set on a preset, this fingered bass, and it sounds great. So like the Minitaur goes into the direct input, which gives it a bite, a nice clean signal, and then it gets a little bit of saturation, but I'm not coloring it so much where you're not hearing the Minitaur. It sounds a little more up to date, if it makes sense. Like it felt a little dated and kind of synthy, but with the saturation, it sounds great, even with the single oscillator. And then the Shadow Hills mastering plugin on the bass fingered setting just makes it nice and warm again. So just a bit of disclaimer I want to kind of share with that. So let's keep going. Because here I'm bringing in the second oscillator. And man, look at that. Just listen to the grit on there. I mean, if I were to just sample this in, it'll just be just anything. I mean, like, what other bass synthesizer would you need? I mean, there's a lot of bass synthesizers, but it's so musical. It's so expressive. I don't know. I was trying to trigger the glide here. Again, I don't like huge glides, but actually you can do a lot of really musical things with the glide if you have it on a... Okay, so now here I've got the frequency of the second oscillator like much higher. So it kind of sounds more like chorusy, which is also really musical. You know, you could even... And you could control all of this via MIDI. You know, you could play this live. And it's just like two voices, you know? Yeah, again, just now I'm lowering the frequency of the second oscillator to bring back the grit so that it's almost like an even match. But listen how, I don't know, it's just very musical, you know? And so, you know, after a while, I got to think, gotta use this in some other things. So it was great to just kind of discover that, okay, so now I got a little board. We'll bring in the Bigsky. I think this is the magneto tape delay. And I mean, yeah, the Bigsky reverb delay thingy just makes everything sound really awesome. Again, I've got the low end on the Bigsky dialed down so that way it won't sound so muddy. Obviously, if you were to do this in real time, you would probably sidechain compress the delay or whatever, but again, and this is literally just one note, one instrument, you know, and just seeing the potential of what it could be, which, you know, I'm a big fan of. And that's a great fat sound. I might have had to dial down the Shadow Hills a little bit because I think it's definitely cutting off some of the higher harmonics. But, you know, I don't know. This was just a jam session. Again, the whole point of this was like, man, I should use the Minitaur more, you know. Yeah, the Bigsky is pretty cool. Kind of makes everything sound better. I try to get the librarian thing to work because Moog releases, or they've released this little like real-time MIDI editor where you can like load back and forth. But for some reason it just wasn't recognizing it, so I just had to sort of like manually do it. Otherwise, I would have shown you the little like on-screen thing. It works on my Mac, but on this PC machine, it wasn't kind of cooperating. So anyway, man, it was super fun working with this gear that's just been sort of sitting over there that I had forgotten about, and now, you know, it's cool. Like, it made the cutoff. It's not going to go on eBay or anything. It's going to be something that I'm going to keep for a long time. And whenever I need some cool bass or just any kind of synth thing that I don't know, just has a unique sound that I think that I enjoyed that I had forgotten about because it just kind of got lost. So hopefully you guys can find some gear that's laying around that you bought that you really loved that you just forgot about. You know, rediscover it. You'll have such a great time. And with a bit of tweak with some of the modern current sensibilities, you know, like saturation, it seems like it's a big thing. Man, that just brought a whole new life to this synthesizer. So thanks for watching.